Hey guys, welcome. This is Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. I am Denise Simpson. This is Lead with Intent, where a group of conscientious leaders gather every single week to talk about mindset, skill set, and the behaviors that conscientious leaders take. And so today we're going to talk about grit. And what does grit mean? But before we do that, will you please comment below your wins? We want to share in your success. We want to celebrate you. And that's what conscientious leaders do. We celebrate each other. So please make sure you comment below and use the hashtag wins so that we can keep track of them below. So let's talk about grit. What does grit mean? So I've been reading Angela Duckworth's Grit book on passion and perseverance, and she uncovers that it's not about talent. It's not all about talent, and it's not all about this, competencies, right? But it has mostly to do with your passion for it and how you persevere. And it is a beautiful book. I'm halfway through it. I'm enjoying every word of it. As you all know, I'm catching up with all of these amazing leadership books, and I consider this one to be a really fantastic one. So I feel like I'm playing catch up with the world. So, and by the way, I am traveling right now, so lighting in my hotel room is horrendous, and internet is a little sketchy at times, and you can probably hear everything going on outside. It's so loud, and we're on the top floor, but you could still hear everything. So forgive me if the quality of this video is not up to our standards. But let's get back to the topic of grit. So think of something. Think of a goal. Think of a desire. Think of something that you reached, but it wasn't a smooth, linear approach to it. There were some ebbs and flows, there was ups and downs, there were setbacks, there were challenges, but something within you kept moving you forward. What was that? Was it passion? Was it your willpower? What exactly was it? Can you even identify what that was in helping you reach that goal? Well, there's a ton of research on grit. And Angela Duckworth does a beautiful job in explaining this with current research. And I was very surprised to read about that it's not all about talent, because so many of my clients who I coach are on a trajectory, on their leadership trajectory, and a lot of them will say, I just don't have the skills. I just don't feel like I have the talent to reach this goal. And something that I tell them is that you don't have to be the smartest person. You don't have to have all the knowledge. My goodness, who does? But what you do need to have is grit. And you need to have the passion behind the why. Why are you doing this? Why are you subjecting yourself to this? And so, think about that for yourself. What is the one thing that you are wanting to accomplish that's still on your radar but hasn't been achieved yet? What is that? And for sure, look at your why. Why do you have so much drive for this accomplishment? What is driving you here? List out those internal motivators. Sometimes they're external motivators. Sometimes it's cultural or societal expectations that drive people. That's not how I live, but a lot of us do. And also those internal factors. What are those things within you? Is it never, resting on your laurels? Is it, never, feeling satisfied when you've got these great, beautiful, lofty dreams and goals? What is it that's internally pushing you? For me, it's never settling. I'm constantly, devouring and consuming literature and research on leadership and on personal development. I'm someone who is always wanting to be better and to do better, because then when I'm better, I get to contribute to the world. I get to contribute to my clients. I get to help make this world a better place when I'm at my best. And so that's something that has always internally driven me. I don't think it's sourced from a societal or an outside factor. I think it's always been something I found within me and, have used throughout my career. And so what is it that's driving you? What is your purpose and your why behind this goal? Because when things get really tough, that's what you're going to use to propel you forward. You're going to tap into that source. You're going to tap into those emotions. You're going to tap into that purpose. And that's going to move you forward. So every time you fall, you're going to get back up. And every time you feel like the world is against you, or that you're not made for this, or that you're not equipped for this intellectually, that you don't have the resources for this, every time those self-limiting beliefs pop up, you're going to tap into that why, that purpose behind this goal. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose? And use the purpose to propel you forward. Because times are going to get really tough. I must say, speaking from experience, going through this doctoral program and it was a 7-year ordeal, and it was, filled with a ton of coursework, a ton of milestones along the way that we had to meet, a lot of, expectations of a doctoral student. We just, couldn't take things at face value. We had to dig in and do our own explorations, and we had to, challenge, theories and prove them or disprove them. And so we were trained to think of the world very differently and to look at the world very differently. And so going back to you, what is driving you forward? For me, not resting on my laurels. I say this often. I say this time and time again. My purpose behind that PhD was so that I could, share my experience and to share this knowledge with my students, with my clients, and now with you. And so that purpose, that why, was stronger than my fears. And that purpose propelled me every year after year, semester after semester, exam after exam. And then not to mention the dissertation process. That was a whole other set of limiting beliefs that popped up. But I had to tap into that purpose and that why. It has to be strong enough to get you forward, to move you forward, and to propel you forward. So tap into that why. So identify that. And so the next time you're faced with an obstacle, one in your head or one externally, you're going to tap into this source of purpose, and you're going to use that and leverage that to your advantage. And that's what grit is about. It's really about mental resources or resilience or relentlessness or whatever you want to call it. It's really about not settling and saying, no, I deserve this, and I'm going to, reach a level of success that I've never reached before. And this is what it's going to take to get me there. And so it's really about the mind games. It's really about harnessing the power of your thoughts, the power of your emotions. And so that's what we're talking about today. It's really, grit and your passion and persevering. And even when you have to take 2 steps back, you're taking 3 steps forward after, because that's the game of life. When life knocks you down, what are you going to do? Stay down? No, you're going to find that grit that's within you. You're going to tap into that purpose and that why. And you're going to use that to propel you forward every step of the way. So share with me. Tell me about your grit. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Are you at a 10 right now? Or do you need some work? Are you at a 5, your midway point? Sometimes you're really on it and sometimes you're not. So, let's do a baseline test today. Share with me in the comments below where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest on that range and 10 being the highest, the most grittiest, dirtiest, I don't know, toughest that you have ever been. I could say right now, I'm probably a 7. I've got a lot of work to do. I've got a big lofty goal that's hanging over my head right now, and every day is a struggle, and there's some days where I have more grit than others. So, today's a 7. Tomorrow it could be a 1, but today I can honestly say it's a 7. So share with me, where are you at on that Likert scale, 1 to 10? 10 being the grittiest, nastiest, dirtiest, toughest that you can be, and 1 being obviously at the lower end of that range. So baseline test with me right now. Put your comment below. Tell me your number from 1 to 10. And then I want for you to, take the next few days to really look at your grit level, the grit factor. What are you passionate about? Is it a goal that just, doesn't mean anything to you at this point because you've tried and tried and tried so much and you've evolved and, the way you look at this goal is very differently? Well, good. It takes as much grit to let that go. And so sometimes it's, letting go of something that, um, you're just not interested in doing anymore. So tell me about your grit, and take the next few days to really think about that, and take the next few days to think about your passion and how you're going to use that passion to propel you forward. So I thank you all so much for your time, and I want to wish you a fantastic day and a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you next Thursday right here, 1 p.m. Central Time on Lead with Intent. Thank you again. Bye for now.